Okay, number 9 is another factoring, which is a little bit harder because our coefficient of x squared, or a, is greater than 1. Okay, so that makes it a little bit more complicated. Now, you may choose to use the multiple choice and just kind of multiply them out until you get the solution. However, I do want to go over how we did it in class and how we factored it without having multiple choice to use to help us. Okay, so what we saw is that we start off kind of the same as the others. So we put 8x squared in that first box. We put the -3 over here. Then what got complicated was that we can't just put our outside numbers for the 8x squared right away because we have different options. It might be x times 8x squared. It might be times 8x, it might be 4x times 2x, or the opposite order, 2x times 4x. So we first wanted to figure out all of our inside terms and then get to the outside terms. Now what we noticed is that these inside terms are actually going to be bigger than in the other problems because in order to get this, you need to multiply by this outside number and whatever the coefficient of x is going to be, which is going to be greater than 1 this time because we had to get 8 inside. And we had a coefficient here that gets multiplied by this to get this number. So we had to take all the product of all those outside numbers. So the product of these two numbers is that 8, and the product of these two numbers is -3, and we had to multiply that, okay? We call those our headphones, okay? So we had to multiply those two outside numbers. In this case, it's -24, and now we're thinking of factors for that number that also add up correctly for our x terms, which in this case have to add up to -10. So thinking of factors of -24, one number has to be negative, one number has to be positive. So we can have 1 times 24 with one of them negative, one positive. We can have 2 times 12. We can have 3 times 8. We can have 4 times 6. Now we're remembering that one number is positive, one number is negative, and somehow that has to add up to -10. So the option that's going to work is 2 and 12. When your signs are different, I'm sorry about that, when your signs are different, then you want to choose the two numbers that are that many units apart. So 2 and 12 are 10 units apart. Now let's think of which one is going to be negative. Well, we need more negatives because we're going to combine the terms to get -10. So it's going to be +2 and -12. Now I'm going to erase all these extra confusing lines that are all over. And let's get those terms inside. So we're using 2 for one of our x terms, so 2x, and -12 for our other x term. Now we want to think about the outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this top row and I'm going to look for the greatest common factor. Now 8 and 2, the greatest common factor is 2, and for x squared and x, the greatest common factor is x. So I'll put 2x out there. Now I'm thinking 2x times what gets me 8x squared? Well, 2x times 4x. So now I know how I was breaking up that 8x squared, right? Now that I had the insides, I did what made sense. The 2x times the 4x, that's going to work out. 2x times what on top is 2x? 1, okay? And then for the bottom, I have the 4x on top, and I know I have to multiply it by something to get -12x. Well, 4 times -3 is -12x. Does that work with our last box? Well, yes, because we have -3 times 1, which is -3. So we know we did it correctly. So now we're looking for these two factors, 2x minus 3. One side is one factor. I see that right here. And 4x plus 1. That's the other factor. So choice B is correct.